a lot of times you're more interested in the form rather than the content. Like, you probably know this song, right? Doobie Brothers, Taking It to the Streets. What does it mean? What's the content? Let's ignore the form for a moment. I'm going to turn the music off and read you the words that Michael McDonald of the Doobie Brothers wrote. You don't know me, but I'm your brother. I was raised here in this living hell. You don't know my kind in your world. Fairly soon the time will tell. You telling me the things you're going to do for me. I ain't blind and I don't like what I think I see. Taking it to the streets. Take this message to my brother. You will find him everywhere. Wherever people live together, tied in poverty's despair. Are you telling me what you're going to do for me? I ain't blind, and I don't like what I think I see. Taking it to the streets. Michael McDonald, Doobie Brothers. I'm going to do a less-known song, just the lyrics. Again, content rather than form. This is from, some of you may hear him on the radio, James McMurtry and the Heartless Bastards. This song is called God Bless America. Look yonder coming, mercy me. 3 wise men in an SUV, corporate logo on the side, air-conditioned, quiet ride. That thing don't run on French fry grease. That thing don't run on love and peace. Takes gasoline to make that thing go. Now bring your hands up nice and slow. Take us to the land of milk and honey, sing and dance all night long. What you gonna do with all that money? What you gonna do when all the money's gone? Negotiations just no fun, and it don't serve our interests none. Gonna turn up the heat till it comes to a boil, and then we'll get that Arab oil. We'll suck it all up through the barrel of a gun. Every day's the end of days for some. Republicans don't cut and run. Tell me you ain't proud of what we've done. You keep talking that shit like I never heard. Hush, little president, don't say a word. When the rapture comes and the angels sing, God's gonna buy you a diamond ring. Take us to the land of milk and honey, sing and dance all night long. What you gonna do with all that money? What you gonna do when the money's gone? James McMurtry. Again, we have a sign-up list. If you want to get your 3 minutes in, sign on up. If you got more than 3 minutes worth, I guess you'll go to the bottom of the list until we get kicked out of the park. What the heck? Thank you all. Let's play some more music then. Listen to the content.
You know, it's not until we start talking about these things that affect us every day of our lives that we get to realize that that those things that concern us, that makes us happy, are all the same. You know, we sit there at home, we wonder why we didn't get to pay the gas bill, the water bill. Like, gosh, you know, there's this bill's coming up, and we live in isolation. And you know, we don't know that our neighbor next door is going through the same thing. And so then we go to the doctor and we ask for a pill, you know, instead of talking to each other. Because at that point we come to realize that we're just human beings, you know, and that once we begin to talk about those things, it's just, it's human nature to feel down. But the great thing about it is that when we come together and talk about these things, we all of a sudden realize that we're part of a greater world, greater cause. And I'm not surprised that if you turn on CNN or news media, they don't show this much, because it's not in their interest. It's not in the interest of the prison guard that the prisoner learn how to read and write, you know, to think critically, right? I told a friend about the allegory of the cave. It's one of those Greek stories, right? And about the fact that the slaves are sitting there looking at shadows, and that's the reality they see, until one of them gets up. And the first phase is just getting up and looking behind it. There's a fire that's creating these shadows. And then the second stage is going outside and realizing that there's another world outside the cave. And the third is the enlightenment, when you actually stare and look at the sun and the great beauty it possesses. And it goes on to say that the slave then comes back to the cave and tries to convince the others that there's more to reality than what they perceive. And I think that we're barely just maybe getting up and looking at the fire, but that's good. And we have to just spread this message and tell others that another world is possible. The biggest sale for corporations is not the products that we buy, but the idea that we have to buy to be happy. And that's the biggest sale. Most of the people in the world, I think we should start another movement added to this. Can we live at less than $10 a day, $5? Because most of the world does, And there we go to whatever market. And it's not to say that we don't support business, because it brings some of the things that we do need. It's just supporting the ones that have our common interests, And that's the key. I don't want to say, I already said too much. But I teach at COS, fine arts. And I always tell my students, I said, any social movement cannot survive without the arts. We just shared about music, right? And let us hope that those who have children in our crowds, that we teach them how to remain artists when they grow up. But through music, to visual, dance, we convey those messages universally. The other thing I want to say is that, I know the irony is not lost in me saying this, but it seems that, when I turn on the protests and the demonstrations, a lot of us men are the ones that continue to dictate the dialogue, And I think that's wrong, and I think that's we need to change that. There have been other social movements, and Einstein said that if you continue to do the same thing and expect different results, then it's just insanity, right? And I want us to, as men, to challenge ourselves to let our ego not get in the way, and Gandhi's quote, great quote. I'll just end it with you. It says that. The future of man and humanity rests in the hands of women. And I really believe that, because I grew up with just my mother and my two sisters. Maybe that's the way I think, the way I do. Thank you.
What we wanted to happen with this movement, come out of it, and so I just happened to have a list, and I'm going to go right through them. My list, start with corporations aren't people, rescind Citizens United. That's number 1. Yay! Health care for all, for everybody. Instant runoff voting. Stop consideration of the XL pipeline and the tar sands oil. Solve the jobs problem by putting people to work on clean energy projects. Stop home foreclosures. Tax the wealthy at a higher rate than the middle class. And last, election reform.
Serves me right. Patricia, you're next. Yes. Thank you very much for speaking.
Hi. I've been angry for a long time. I was one of the Vietnam War protesters, and I pushed my daughter in a little cart. I felt as if there were people behind me who believed the way that I did, that we had a democracy and that it was worth fighting for. Ever since that time, I've seen our democracy eroded. Our rights have been taken away. We're being spied upon. We're being lied to. All of those things. And we've got to change it. It's up to us. We can't wait till we have a whole crowd behind us. We just have to get out there and start doing it. This is a good start. Thank you all for being here, and let's keep going.
Okay, folks, I think this is going really good so far, and I am so amazed by everybody's passion and by everyone's dedication to something so young. And we might not like to believe it right now, but we are so fragile right now. I mean, when you think about what's going on in New York and in San Francisco and Chicago and Boston and all these huge movements, there's a part of us, deep inside of us, that are so afraid that they're going to put the foot down any time. And I don't know about you, but I'm tired of living in fear, you know. My whole thing is that I'm here for my kids because I have two very small kids, and like Mr. Cervantes was saying, we stay in our house, we stay isolated, and we all have the same problems, but we don't express them to each other, we don't share them to each other, and we don't rely on each other. And I think that's large part is because we're embarrassed. Yeah. We're taught to be embarrassed of ourselves.
Mm-hmm. That we're not fantastic.
Amen. And my purpose in life right now is to provide for my kids. And I can't do it alone. I need your guys' help. Okay? Yes. It's really hard for me as a man to stand up here and say that I need someone else's help. Because we're taught, you go out, you get a job, you provide, that's it. That's your whole goal in life. No, my goal in life is to make sure that my kids have a world worth living in. Yes. That my kids, every day of their life has been a life of war, has been a life of recession, and I don't want them to pass it on to them. So I need your help. I have, a 5-year-old, I have a 3-year-old who has severe autism, and the way things are going right now, I don't know what's going to be left for him. I don't know if my wife and I die, who's going to be there? There's no social security for him in the future. There's no education for him. The services that he gets are just a minute amount of what he should receive. And I'm not just talking about my autistic child, I'm talking about your child. I'm talking about the one that is brilliant and that is smart and that deserves the world, but is getting peanuts. Yes. And I need your help to provide for my kids. And I'm learning right now that if I stand with you, you're going to stand with me. Yes. That's the deal that we got right now, folks. Okay? So, sorry for the crying, but it's been on my mind for a while. It's been on for a week. And you know what I'm saying? It's just, I want to stay up here and say, I'm against corporations. I'm against rich people. Who cares about rich people? I don't care about them. They can go and party their whole life through as long as I know that my family is going to be safe, that my family is going to be taken care of, and that my son's not going to be sent off to some fucking war somewhere. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
The next speaker on the list is Giovanna. Giovanna, if you're still here. Oh, there she is.
Before Giovanna goes on, can we give another round of applause for the frank, honest conversation this gentleman gave?
Hi, everyone. I usually don't do this sort of thing, but what I've been seeing has, like many of you, gotten me angry, gotten me upset, gotten me sad that we've gotten to this point that, we're frustrated with what's going on. A lot of us have different stories why we're here. And I just want to say that even though we might not have as much people as we want right now, each one of us represent 10 others that are suffering right now. Yeah. I'm here not only for myself, but for my friends, my family members, my strangers. I'm here for everybody. There's just a lot of change I wish that would happen right now. And the way things are going, if the corporations are pretty much happy with everything, nothing's going to change. And so I'm just happy that we're all here together with the same idea. We're here for the same movement. Thank you.
And what Giovanna said is really important. You said that you don't usually do this. Well, if everybody that doesn't usually do this was doing this, our country would really be a democracy. So thank you, Giovanna, for doing what you decided to do today. And I think it's James is up next.
Definitely not a public speaker, so there's a lot of people out here and we're all from different backgrounds. We're all going to have different opinions, and the one thing we can all guarantee that we agree on is the fact that something's wrong in our country. Yeah. A lot of people might not know the position of our county officials or our civil officials here in Visalia, and it was Bob Link who actually told me that he would not authorize the city of Visalia to hire felons so that we could destroy the city from the inside out. That's names to say why I'm here. I can't get a job being a felon, and I can't get a job in a community where people think that just because I made a few mistakes in the past that I'm no longer part of the 99%. I don't rule nobody, I don't own anything, I don't have a desire to control people, so I'm definitely not part of the 1%. And everybody out here is in the same boat. We might have different views, we might have different backgrounds, we're all pretty much in the same boat though. So, I don't really have much to say, just thank God this is happening.
All right, our next speaker here is a very special guest. Roy, you find your way around here? Let's set this up for Roy here. Be just one moment.
Good afternoon, everybody. Glad to see all of you out. Now, I hope that you're all registered to vote, and I hope you will all vote. I was not raised in Tulare County. I came here when I was 9 months old. Or 6 months old, take it back. I was 6 months old. My dad was killed when I was 9 months old. So I've been one of the 99% since 1934. And I know what it is. I went to the fields to work when I was 5. But I ask you this, are we being treated right today? No! No way. All right. Now, Obama said we wouldn't look back. To look back, we'd have had to have manslaughter charges against Mr. Bush and Mr. Cheney. They killed over 4,000 men of our young people on a war that was unnecessary and unneeded. All right. I served during the Korean War. I was in the Navy. I suffered an injury in the Navy that was not detectable until 1970. I ruptured a disc into my spine, and I started losing my leg in 1970. It's too far gone from when I got out. They wouldn't recognize it as an injury I did in the Navy. I got along all right with it, but it's been difficult. I had to live on the helping hand. But I say to you, I'm an agnostic, and I don't like somebody telling me what to do. If you want to pray or have a religion, keep it in your home, take it to your church. Don't bring it out here and tell me I've got to live by it. A woman's right is a woman's right. If it's her body, she should be able to do with it what she wants to do with it. And I say this, I hope that we meet again, and I hope we keep pushing, because this is carrying all over the world, not just here, but I guarantee you it's all over the world. And as Rachel Maddow says, she says, I can't remember her words, but my philosophy is I'm better than no person, and and no person is better than I. I'm only better than the person that thinks they're better than I.
Yeah.
All right, and I thank you people for listening to me. Thank you for coming out. I'm also the chairperson for the Democratic 34th Assembly District in California. Thank you.
Thank you, Roy. Roy was my riding buddy through part of the walk. Yeah. Anybody got in the way on the sidewalk, I'd let Roy go first. And well, I think next up is John. John Espinosa's got something on his computer and a little something he wants to say as well. So please welcome.
How you guys doing? My name's John. I'm 24. I'm a college graduate with a mountain of debt waiting for me. I did everything the system told me to do, and I've been completely shafted. I have no job. I'm unemployed with a full college education. I have something I want to share with you guys, something that's inspired me and got me fired up. So I'll have to play that for you guys.
Revolution in America by Micah White. This is a sincere call for an American revolution against the decadent, vile plutocrats driving our nation into the ground. Superconsumers, sinister bankers, celebrity whores dine on foie gras and truffles, while more than 25 million Americans are unemployed, and 2.8 million homes are in foreclosure. A cabal of greedy bastards has turned America, the pioneer of modern democracy, into a corporatocracy, where a handful of non-human megacorps own our government, political parties, courts, schools, and media. The opulent 1% are sucking us dry, even as they push us, debt-ridden and redundant, over the precipice. Only an insurrection against their moneyed despotism can save us now. Making the case for the overthrow of the American corporatocracy is a serious matter. From the perspective of the plutocrats in power, it is a criminal, seditious, treasonous act punishable by a lengthy prison sentence. Therefore, we must be absolutely certain that ours is a righteous rebellion. We must be confident that although our revolution may be illegal from their perspective, it is supremely legitimate, commendable, and obligatory from the perspective of universal natural law. And so that we may guard against recklessness, we must be judicious and put the actions of the American government on trial before deciding if the sentence of execution by popular revolution is necessary and just. Our case for a forceful disbanding rests on the charge that the American regime is illegitimate and anti-democratic because it is a danger to Americans as citizens, to America as a nation, and to Homo sapiens as a species. Acknowledging that insurrection is only warranted when there is no other avenue to fully removing the corrupt from power, we will contend that all other tactics have already been tried unsuccessfully. Every politician in office today, Democrat and Republican alike, accepts corporate bribes and is therefore corrupt. Their election is perverse evidence that they groveled before corporate lords and do not serve the will of the people. We know this because on January 21, 2010, the U.S. Supreme Court told us who runs the nation by granting corporations the freedom to donate unlimited amounts of money to political candidates. As it is already an established statistical fact that the candidate who spends the most money wins in 9 out of 10 races, it is undeniable that we live in an era where anyone genuinely opposed to the corporate takeover of America and unwilling to compromise will never be elected. That makes the government a dangerous enterprise that is a hazard to individual freedom. Not content with stripping us as citizens of our sovereignty, our corporate-backed rulers have instituted a foreign policy that delights in permanent war and international instability. From cynically squandering billions of dollars of taxpayer money each year in gifts to the apartheid state of Israel, or in military support given to keep Arab tyrants in power, everything about America's foreign policy is wrong, pro-war, anti-freedom, and unjust. 2 preemptive wars in the last decade, ongoing occupations with new war crimes daily, secret drone attacks on civilians, military bases encircling the world. A nefarious, unelected military-industrial complex sows discord abroad and guarantees that our nation will never live in peace. And then there is the deepest charge of all. America's corporatocracy is committing a crime against humanity. Nature is dying. Sentient species are disappearing. Catastrophic climate change threatens us all. And yet the ideology of rampant consumerism reigns supreme in America. Ecocide is the official policy of these mammon worshippers who use their military might to keep the oil flowing and industrial pollutants pumping. Glaciers are melting. Oceans are acidifying. Climate wars are looming. If America as it is now is not overthrown, the cancerous growth of capitalism will not end until all life on Earth is extinct. Everywhere we look, there are signs of moral decay, political corruption, and fascistic tendencies. However, activists have not been passive. For decades, since the end of democracy in America first became undeniable, we have tried every tactic to avert catastrophe. We have voted, written letters, donated money, held signs, protested in marches, clicked links, signed petitions, tweeted websites, written books, taught classes, knitted sweaters, learned how to farm, turned off the television, programmed apps, engaged in direct action, committed petty vandalism. All this has been for naught. Popular revolution remains the only reasonably viable tactic remaining. In the 18th century, America's founding fathers were in the same situation as we are today. They also sought justification to start a rebellion against a despotic empire that claimed to be their rightful government. They knew that what they intended to do was illegal from the king's perspective, but they found solace in a higher law, a universal law that takes priority over temporal authority. The 13 colonies made the case for insurrection in the Declaration of Independence of the United States, and thereby permanently enshrined as inalienable the right of the people to alter or abolish the government. The precedent of our own history grants us the right to revolt. Further, the seriousness of corporate America's threat to the world puts us under obligation to act. Now we will sweep the parasites out of power and reinstate the rule of the people.
All right, James doesn't have the name that's associated with that essay, but boy, is that a powerful piece.
You can check it out at adbusters.com.